Do you know you have a secret organ that hides deep inside of you? You may be unaware of it, but you regularly see it in the loo. This colon-dwelling collection is known as the gut microbiome, and as promised in my diet video, it's worthy of its very own poem. It's made of 100 trillion bacterial cells, 3 times the cells that make up you. So it's probably truthful to say you're 1/4 human and 3/4 poo. It weighs in about 2 kilograms, making it roughly liver-sized. And when you hear what it does for you, you'll hopefully be pleasantly surprised. It may contain 4,000 species with a varied plant-based fare, but this can drop as low as 400 if your diet is processed and less debonair. My motivation to change was the cinema. I loved the nachos topped with jalapenos. But an hour in, I'd be off to the loo with my wife muttering, "There he goes." It would happen every single time. Walking out, then running, then racing. I thought I had irritable bowel syndrome, but my wife called it grey-facing. So that's when all the research began, which I delved into quite madly, and once I found out what the microbiome does, I was shocked that we treat it so badly. Most of the time, we are not listening to what it's trying to tell us. Diarrhea, constipation and bloating, and we take drugs to mask all the fuss. Take refined wheat pastries and pasta that cause all kinds of upset. "I feel so much worse without bread," are words no one has ever said yet. A healthy microbiome is so important. It protects you from bugs and contaminated food. It can help you normalize blood sugar and cholesterol. Surely these register as something good. It's involved in fighting infection by stimulating the body's immunity, and this amazing benefit is enhanced by a well-nourished, happy gut community. It synthesizes vitamins and amino acids, which are necessary building blocks, and fed with insoluble plant fibers, you shouldn't feel like you're having to pass hard rocks. The microbiota break this fiber down into fatty acids of the short-chain kind, which prevent cancers and other diseases before they exit your behind. High fiber decreases insulin resistance in people with type 2 diabetes, which mainly comes from fruit and veg, so perhaps have these instead of sweeties. The colon also makes most of your serotonin when the microbiome receives healthy food. This is the brain's happy chemical, so literally what you eat can affect your mood. But what happens if our nutrition is poor? Low fiber degrades the colon mucus lining, causing increased infection and inflammation, making chronic disease more consigning. Having lots of saturated fat, which mainly comes from meat and dairy, as well as high sugar and refined carbs, lead to problems which are quite scary. Worsening diabetes and diarrheal issues will for most, I'm sure, displease, but more concerning is the links to dementia and the raised risk of cardiovascular disease. There are loads of other things I could discuss. Take the effects of certain medication and how drugs like antibiotics lead to problematic microbiome alteration. Instead, let's remember those cinema days. You'll recall my jalapeno urgency tales and the resultant need to get to a loo. Perhaps I should spare you further details. Anyway, I completely changed what I ate and moved away from dairy and meat. I no longer had refined carbohydrates, which meant no wheat or anything sweet. I ramped up the amount of dietary fiber as I listened to my microbiome needs and consumed loads of salads and tons of veg with large helpings of beans, nuts and seeds. Sure enough, my symptoms got better. I could even tolerate the occasional lapse. And the IBS flare-ups were completely gone. But could I manage jalapenos? Perhaps. So in a final test, I went to the flicks and ordered nachos and chilies galore. Unbelievably, I sat through the entire film. It seems that Greyface was no more. So spare a thought for those trillions of bugs and the wonderful things they can do. Maybe it's time to look after them the way that they want to look after you.